Hey guys, happy post-Kentucky Derby. Hopefully you all tuned in to see a great race. I'm going to today kind of give you my thoughts, kind of follow up on that last video. Sorry, this setup is still not perfect. Still working through a few things to get the lighting and my camera all situated and stuff. So we're holding it with just my hand and doing this thing raw. F it, we'll do it live. So I just want to come on here and get this post-race analysis set up and kind of give you guys my thoughts and what I took from it and where we go from here and what's the future hold for Golden Tempo. So major accomplishment for Shree DeVoe, first female trainer to ever win the Kentucky Derby. I'm sure you guys have heard that multiple times now, and rightfully so. A huge accomplishment, and she's done a great job with Golden Tempo and her barn in general ever since opening it and starting on her own. So huge ups to her, and I'm sure there are many great things ahead of her. I was never on Golden Tempo. If you watch my last video, I know he was getting some chatter as someone to play underneath in your exotics. I just thought he was too slow, and I thought that he just was not a good enough horse to finish in fourth or above, and that proved to be wrong in a major way. A $2 win bet for him paid like $46, $48, something like that. He was 23 to 1, so yeah, it's like 48, I believe. So if you had him on your ticket, you are definitely smarter than me and should be making this video and not me, but I'm going to make it anyway. So here we go. A few things I want to call out are Jose Ortiz. I've always thought he was underrated in regards to, he's one of the top leading jockeys in the country, but he does not get near enough love compared to his brother Irad. So I was really happy to see him get his flowers and pull off the Kentucky double with the Oaks on Friday night and then coming back Saturday evening and winning on Golden Tempo. Super happy for him. Great ride by him. He trusted the horse. He knew he had, one run in him and was not, freaking out about the pace up front. He was happy to let him lull in the back and then start to make his move as they started to come around that far turn. And he timed it perfectly, and it all worked out. And so great ride by Jose, and he's having a great year. Like I mentioned, he won the Kentucky Oaks the night before, and he won over in Saudi Arabia for the Dubai World Cup. I believe that was the race with Magnitude. Ran a great race over there for Steve Asmussen. And so this is by far his banner year in regards to big wins. So super happy for him, and not at all surprised to see him have the success he's having. So my thoughts on Golden Tempo, as I mentioned, I thought he just was not a good enough horse. His fastest buyer, I think, was like a 94, 95 maybe before. So the fraction of this race were, it was an honest pace. It wasn't anything supersonic by any means. 6 Speed got out to the lead, as a lot of the handicappers expected. And the first quarter mile was 22 and 6/8 seconds. So fast, but not anything that is, popping off on the number figures there. This race came back as a 95 buyer, which I thought was a little surprising. You would think that the Kentucky Derby would be producing a little bit higher speed figure there, but again, maybe this is a crop of 3-year-olds that is just not, the best that we've seen in most recent years. So obviously the 95 buyer was good enough to win a $3 million purse, and so it's all about time and place. And for Golden Tempo, this was the right time and place and the right year to be born, and run in the Kentucky Derby. So good for him. The final time was 2:02. So again, a pretty slow Kentucky Derby in the grand scheme of all the 152nd runnings. So question is, where does he go from here? Does he go to the Preakness? Um, that's again in 2 weeks. And part of the reason that I was off Golden Tempo was, again, I didn't just think he was a good enough horse. I didn't think his Beyer speed figures were anything fast enough to finish in the top four, let alone win the race. But again, the Preakness is in 2 weeks, May 16th. And something, again, that had me off of him for this week was that the reporting, and Shreve, put it out there, was the cracked heels. Again, obviously proved nothing to be of that major concern. I'm not a trainer. I don't know nearly enough about horses. But when you're just trying to take a fine tooth comb through the Kentucky Derby field and whittle it down to your top horse, anything like that you hear is most likely going to give you concern and pause and think elsewhere, especially if you're not in love with the horse in the first place. So those factors in there just caused me to think separately and not have him in my top four. And he proved me wrong. And I'm happy for their connections and doing that, because I'm sure they're really worried about what my YouTube channel of 12 subscribers thinks. So yeah. Anyway, does he run in the Preakness? Sheree said that in the coming days they'll figure that out, see how he's responding, see how he's jogging, and all that. I think with the Preakness being run at 9.5 furlongs, that the quick turnaround, again, him not being the fastest horse, and maybe just needing some time off, I think it might be best to go the sovereignty route, take off the Preakness, give him a full 5 weeks in between the Derby and the Belmont, and go that route. Also, it's a longer race, being run at the full 10 furlongs. The Belmont is, again, not being run at 12 furlongs like it traditionally has been, because it's being run up at Saratoga. But I think the best shot for him to win and excel would be him running in the Belmont over the Preakness. But when you have the opportunity to go chase a Triple Crown, it's hard to not put your batter in the box and see what can happen. So we'll see what happens there. But if I was ownership and Cherie, I think I might point him to the Belmont. So a few things that I wanted to call out about this race in the field before I look into the race analysis was that I feel bad for Full Effort and Right to Party, both closers, and right there in line with the same running style as Golden Tempo. I think that with how this race set up, and the talent of those horses to come from the back of the pack, that they also would have had a good shot to hit the board in this race. Especially for Right to Party, Kenny McPeak and all of them. I know he's said some things about the vet scratch, and he's had some bad luck, with vet scratches that really don't make any sense and have you scratching your own head about what that's all about. Right to Party, was training fine. There was nothing different about the horse in the last 3 months, but apparently the vets didn't like how he was jogging, and they scratched him, and that's another video or conversation to be had about kind of what that process looks like, and the transparency and the justification that goes into scratching these horses. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of investment in these horses, and always you want to err on the side of caution for the horses. That's the most important thing. But some of these scratches, need to be outlined and have good data, good results to back up why these horses are being removed from the starting gate and given the opportunity. So, feel bad for those two horses there, and I think they would have definitely had a runner shot in this one. So another thing is, so happy. The betting public loved this horse. I don't know if it was the Mark Glatt story with his wife, the name, or what, but he went off as the co-favorite, which was super surprising. I was not really big on So Happy. I don't think that he had the makeup and have the resume to be a Kentucky Derby winning horse. Um, but the betting public definitely liked something about him, and he did go off as a 5-1 co-favorite there. So that was definitely surprising to see on Derby Day. And then another thing I wanted to call out before I got into it was litmus test. Bob Baffert has not had his best crop of 3-year-olds by far, but I thought litmus test was a very talented 3-year-old, 2-year-old, I should say. And then his 3-year-old season has just not progressed in a meaningful way. I think that horse needs to be cut back to 7 or 8 furlongs. He's definitely got a lot of speed to him, but he just does not have the stamina or the makeup and who he is to go these longer distances. Obviously, he is bred to be able to go that distance, but whatever it is, he just doesn't want any part of it. Okay, and we are going to go ahead and get into this race analysis and kind of my thoughts of all the different sections of the race and what I was thinking, what I take from it, and where we go from here. One thing is I was sad to see Great White get scratched there right before loading. I think he is a very cool horse. He's huge. Love his coloring. You know, I think he's got some talent. Obviously, didn't run very well in the bluegrass, but he is definitely a horse that I think has got some good talent. I don't know if he's a top flight horse, but I think he's someone that can definitely go and win, like the races like the West Virginia Derby or the Iowa Derby, the St. Louis Derby, things like that. Definitely think he would be a good fit for, and excited to see where he's pointed to next. But it's a shame that he didn't even get there to the starting gate. Got a little too excited and reared up, and things didn't work out there. But on to bigger and better meals for Great White. So here out the gate, a few things were on the right side. Renegade just got hammered. I think a lot of his um, his race can be attributed to that first start. He rebounded super well to finish second, and I thought that the rail was going to be a killer for him. I had him, the best him doing was third, but he ran a great race. But there in the beginning, he was just getting hammered from the inside, and I think that definitely played a factor for him and him kind of taking those early hits. Not something that he's really experienced thus far in his career. So it was right about here on the 3/4 mile that I was like, I am not feeling good about any of my picks really. Um, Commandment, I had him and finishing in the second position, second, third, fourth, somewhere in there. I really don't think Luis Saez is that great of a jockey. I thought he gave him a bad ride. Was not super happy with that. He went way too wide, and there at the start of the race too, he cut him out to go wide and then tucked back in towards the rail before the first turn. I think he should have just stayed in towards the rail from the beginning. But I think Commandment would have placed a lot better if he had Flavian still or Irad on mount. So that I think was definitely disappointing. for his ride there. So continuing on my commandment saga here, also like on the home stretch there, Oselli bumped into Commandment and then Further Ado and Chief Wallaby. Chief Wallaby is the only one who took those hits and really progressed on and had some more oomph in the tank. And I think a lot of people are in handicappers are impressed with his fourth place finish. That he finished well after taking some hits, and he was there in that mid pack, trying to stay within in length of the pace and 6 speed, but not trying to get caught up in it in those early fractions. So I definitely think Chief Wallaby ran a good and respectable fourth place finish. He's a horse that I think is going to nab one of these big grade ones at some point this year. Maybe that's the Travers, something like that. But I definitely think that horse has got star written over him. And I know we keep saying this, he's knocking on the door, and one of these days it is going to fall. I think he might be more in line with a Baeza type, where he is great. It's just going to take him some time to have his moment. Baeza didn't get his moment in the sun, as the Parks track announcer called it last year when he won the Pennsylvania Derby. But I think he's kind of on par with that level of talent. A few other horses that impressed me with their runs were Denon Bourbon and then Incredible. I had Incredible, I think, finishing fourth as a possibility. I thought he ran a very respectable race. He took a few hits there in the home stretch as well, and he finished, strong and heading in the right direction. I like the look of him. I think he's another horse that I'm excited to bet in the future. I think he's got some good wins in front of him as well. And then Denon Bourbon, I think it's unquestioned that he is the best foreign horse, Japanese or Middle East, whatever group you want to look at. But he contested the pace. He was right up there the entire time. His stamina really impressed me. He's got speed to him, and he finished fifth. Yeah, he finished fifth in the race, but he was up there fighting with that pace the entire time. I think very respectable, good horse, and definitely one I would be excited to bet in the future as well. And then a few other horses I just want to call out that I kind of like talked about in my previous video, and kind of their race was Emerging Market. Thought he ran well. He was just gassed by the end. He finished fifth, or not fifth, excuse me, 10th. He finished 10th. Only his third start. I thought he ran really well, but just didn't have the stamina and the seasoning for him. I thought Flavian gave him a good ride. It just wasn't his day. And I think with some more races under his belt, that he's going to definitely emerge by the season's over as one of the top 3-year-olds. And then Potente was a horse that I was pretty high on. I actually did bet him to win based on the price he went off at. I think it was 19, 20 to 1. Again, I think great horse. He's got the makeup that you want, but just not as talented as I thought. I think he's definitely going to win some races, but he just doesn't have that it factor. He doesn't have that dog in him to win. And there's just a 10, 11, 12, 3-year-olds that are definitely better than him at this stage. And he definitely has the pedigree of like a little bit of a late bloomer. This is only his fourth race, but I just do not see him unfolding to be a top 5 3-year-old this season. So I was definitely a little disappointed in his performance. Juan Hernandez gave him a good ride, I thought, but he just didn't have it in him. And that's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. So overall, really cool race. Really happy to see Golden Tempo win as he did. He definitely made an exciting race, and I'm happy for the connections there. I'll definitely be interested to see what the plan is with him long term, and kind of where he ends up I definitely expect to see him run in the Breeders' Cup Classic at the end of the year. So we'll see how he progresses through the year, barring no major setbacks. Fingers crossed. But awesome 152nd edition of the Kentucky Derby. Just wanted to kind of hop on here, kind of give you guys some of my thoughts post race, and where things are headed from here. So I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll definitely get a Preakness video out, and kind of give you my thoughts on that field once it's finalized and what I'm thinking there. So until then, I'll talk to you guys later, and keep those bets hot.